The body keeps the score. Brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma by Basil van der Kolk, MD. Introduction. The body remembers what the mind forgets. The Body Keeps the Score is a deeply powerful and groundbreaking book that explores how trauma shapes both the mind and body and how healing requires reconnecting the two. Dr. Basil van der Kolk, a leading psychiatrist and trauma researcher, spent decades working with war veterans, abuse survivors, and trauma patients. Through his work, he discovered something revolutionary. Trauma is not just a story of the past, it lives inside the body. It changes how people think, feel, relate, and even how their nervous system functions. Traditional talk therapy often fails because trauma is not purely intellectual, it's a biological, emotional, and embodied. This book explains how trauma affects the brain, body, and emotions, and how recovery is possible through reconnecting with one's self, not just through words, but through movement, awareness, and compassion. Part 1. Understanding trauma. What trauma really is. Trauma isn't just about violent events or abuse, it's about what happens inside you as a result of what happened outside you. It's when your body and mind become overwhelmed by an experience that was too frightening or painful to process. Dr. Van der Kolk defines trauma as an event that overwhelms the ordinary systems of care that give people a sense of control, connection, and meaning. For example, a soldier in war, a child neglected or shamed, a victim of accident or assault all might seem different, but they share the same pattern. The body remembers fear even when the mind tries to forget. The body's reaction to trauma. When trauma occurs, the brain and body react with fight, flight, or freeze. If the danger continues or is too severe, the body can get stuck in survival mode even after the threat is gone. This means heart rate and breathing stay elevated, muscles remain tense, the brain becomes hypervigilant, constantly alert for danger. Ordinary life feels unsafe. That's why trauma survivors often suffer from anxiety, flashbacks, insomnia, or emotional numbness. Their body is still trying to survive a threat that has already passed. The brain and trauma. Dr. Van der Kolk divides the brain into three major areas that trauma affects. Reptilian brain, survival brain, controls automatic functions like heartbeat and breathing. Trauma makes it overactive, keeping you in constant alert. Limbic system, emotional brain, handles emotions and memory. After trauma, this part becomes flooded with fear and confusion. Neocortex, rational brain, responsible for reasoning and language. During trauma, it often shuts down, which is why people can't think their way out of fear. This explains why talking alone doesn't heal trauma. The rational brain can't calm the emotional one when it's hijacked. Healing must involve the whole body mind system. Part 2. The hidden imprint of trauma. How trauma changes the brain. Using brain scans, Van der Kolk discovered that in traumatized people, the amygdala, fear center, is overactive. The prefrontal cortex, rational thinking, is underactive. The Broca's area, speech center, shuts down during flashbacks. That's why survivors often can't talk about trauma. It literally makes them speechless. Their body speaks through symptoms, panic, nightmares, startle, responses, or emotional detachment. The body keeps the score, it remembers what the conscious mind cannot. The legacy of childhood trauma. Vander Kolk emphasizes that childhood trauma, neglect, humiliation, or violence can deeply distort development. Children who grow up in unsafe homes learn to live in constant vigilance, shaping their brain to expect danger. As adults, they may struggle with trust or intimacy, react explosively or withdraw emotionally, feel shame, guilt, or emptiness, develop physical problems like headaches, digestive issues, or autoimmune disorders. Without safety and connection, they remain trapped in survival patterns. Even decades later, the cost of suppression. Many trauma survivors try to cope by numbing themselves through work, alcohol, or avoidance. But what's buried isn't gone. It lives in muscle tension, chronic pain, or emotional flatness. Healing requires facing the body's memory, not avoiding it. Van der Kolk says we can ignore trauma, but the body will remind us through stress, illness, and emotional distress. Part 3, Paths to Healing. Dr. Van der Kolk's biggest message is hopeful. Healing is absolutely possible, but it requires approaches that involve both body and mind. He describes several evidence based methods that have transformed thousands of lives, creating safety and connection. Healing begins when the survivor feels safe, both physically and emotionally. The brain cannot relax or grow until it knows the danger is gone. This means building trusting relationships, finding supportive people, and learning to calm the body. Trauma happens in relationships and it is healed in relationships. Body based therapies. Because trauma lives in the body, movement and awareness help release it. Some key methods include yoga. Yoga teaches survivors to feel and regulate their bodily sensations, a gentle way to rebuild connection between body and mind. Mindfulness meditation helps observe emotions without being controlled by them. Learning to notice feelings instead of avoiding them brings safety back to the body. Breathing exercises. Deep conscious breathing calms the nervous system and sends the message, I'm safe now. Somatic Experiencing by Peter Levine focuses on physical sensations to slowly release trapped energy from trauma without re traumatizing the person. Therapeutic methods that work. Wonder Kolk describes several modern therapies that go beyond talk, eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. Uses side to side eye movements to help the brain reprocess traumatic memories so they lose their emotional charge. Internal family systems helps people connect with different parts of themselves, the inner child, the protector, the critic, and healer inner conflict through compassion. Neurofeedback uses brain wave training to teach the brain to regulate itself, restoring balance after years of hyper arousal. Creative therapies, art, music, dance allow expression of pain that words can't reach. The body and imagination become tools for recovery. Reclaiming the body. One of the book's most beautiful insights is that healing comes from befriending the body again. Instead of fearing sensations like a racing heart or tight chest, survivors learn to listen to their bodies with curiosity and kindness. Once you start approaching your body with curiosity rather than fear, everything shifts. This process slowly teaches the body to feel safe again, the key to healing trauma permanently. Part 4, The Science of Recovery. Dr. Vander Kolk shows how trauma treatment has evolved from simple talking to integrated healing. He emphasizes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and grow at any age. Even years after trauma, the brain can form new connections through safe experiences, movement, and compassion. Healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about creating a new relationship with it. Our greatest hope lies in our capacity to transform fear into curiosity and pain into meaning. The goal is not to forget trauma, but to remember it safely without reliving it. Part 5, The New Path of Wholeness. In the final chapter, Van der Kolk explains that trauma recovery is not just personal, it's social. Our culture must create spaces where people can talk openly, receive support, and reconnect with community. He envisions schools, workplaces, and healthcare systems that recognize the impact of trauma and promote healing through compassion, not punishment. Ultimately, trauma recovery is about reclaiming your life, learning to live fully, love deeply, and feel again. It's a journey from numbness to aliveness. Key lessons and insights. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Healing requires reconnecting with your physical sensations and emotions. Safety is the foundation of recovery. You can't heal in an unsafe environment inside or outside. Talking helps, but feeling heals. Real change happens when you learn to calm the body, not just analyze the mind. Trauma isolates, healing reconnects. Building relationships and community restores hope and belonging. Healing is possible at any age. With awareness, compassion, and the right tools, the brain and body can find balance again. Memorable quotes. The body keeps the score. If the memory of trauma is stored in the body must be included in the healing. Trauma robs you of the feeling that you are in charge of yourself. Being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. You can be fully in charge of your life only when you can tolerate what you feel. Healing begins when you learn to feel what you feel, not to run from it. Conclusion. The courage to feel again. The body keeps the score is not just a medical or psychological book, it's a map for reclaiming your humanity after pain. It teaches that trauma does not define you, but it does live inside you until you listen, feel, and heal. Through body awareness, compassion, and safe connection, you can rebuild the bridge between your body and mind. You stop merely surviving and start living again with openness, calm, and joy. Trauma is not the story of something that happened back then, it's the current imprint of that pain on mind, body, and soul, and it can be healed.